Is it Sunday already? Oh my. I guess it's time for another edition of The Week That Was and What's Next. I'm sorry. Is it already time for next week? Huh. I'm starting to think that we should rename Fed Speak all week, every time, all the time, because you hear the same stuff day in, day out. All right, last Monday, China came in, numbers weren't that good. They missed on fixed asset investment, industrial production, and they missed on retail sales. Shame, 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 shame. Then came Tuesday. Japan, hey, GDP was higher. On Friday, they reported that inflation got a little out of hand at 3.4%. So, what the hell? They're having a tough time figuring out what to do next. And now it's time for next week. Well, my buddy, my favorite, New Zealand, they're talking about raising their interest rates on Tuesday, another quarter point to 5.5%. They have always, from my existence in this marketplace, been a leader. I expect the same again. We have the FOMC minutes on Wednesday. Why? Why bother? All you've heard for the last week, the week prior, and probably the beginning of next week is, this is what we think. We're worried about the debt ceiling. Now, nobody's talking about the what ifs once the debt ceiling is raised. They don't want to talk. They don't want to touch that. Thursday, you got a laundry list. Yeah, you got PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, and annualized GDP, the preliminaries on everything, jobless claims. On Friday, you got core personal expenditures again, and durable goods, but here's the problem. It's Thursday and Friday before Memorial Day. Unless you're banking upon the tightened Bollinger Bands and something that goes awry in the data to shoot the markets one way or another because nobody's really going to be working, you should do the same thing. Take the week off. Shouldn't be much going on, but you never know. Well, back to Fed talk. Let me see. Powell says, interest rates might not need to go much higher. Banking system's a little strained, and the risks of doing too much, well, we don't want to do that. No kidding. You've done too little for so long, you're used to it. We're going to look at the data. And then Logan out of Dallas pops up and says, I don't think that the data is going to support a pause. Okay. Hey, Fed, what about cutting the rates? You get a resounding no. Everywhere except the street. Nobody thinks it's time to cut rates, except the traders. We'll see who's right. You still got your core up close to 5%. That's not going to do it with a 2% target. Unemployment, well, it's slowed down a little bit. Only 253,000 jobs, like 253,000 new jobs, and a 3.4% unemployment rate. Hey, folks, that's not slowing down. People are looking at it and they're saying, well, we've got inflation. At least we've got better control on it. Yeah, you got better control, but you don't have control. So how high do you think rates can go? Believe it or not, 42 to 45% of the banks tightened their lending, tightened how they lend, the standards. And you got to understand, they're talking about this debt ceiling thing. Well, we've got to worry about raising the national debt or we're going to go default. We can't do that. Well, I'll tell you what, the consequences of doing it are probably worse. Well, maybe not, but they're not good either. You got no liquidity in the banking system. It's fragile. You want to go back a couple years, I think it was August 2019, September 2019, last time we had one of these debt ceiling crises, and what should we do? Well, basically, the Fed lost control of the Fed funds rate. Banking liquidity dried up here and overseas. We had a problem. Are we hitting there again? Chances are. All because when they raise the debt ceiling, the first people that are going to go and borrow that money is your dear old Uncle Sam government. As it says here, They're down to 87 billion to pay bills. Okay. They expect to need 600 billion to get through the years. Okay. So the Treasury, once they raise the debt ceiling, is going to go out there and say, I want it all. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to put more of a strain on the banking system. If you don't think it's strained enough, how many more middle market banks are going to go out? Yeltsin has a plan. Let them merge. Well, she's got no choice because the big boys are out of money. They're tapped out. They don't want to save anybody else. So in my estimation, we got a perfect storm coming. And I wrote about this, and I ask you, please, it's always a pleasure to speak with you, take up a little bit of your time, get to see our lovely yard and where we work from. But I write these things so you can read them. If you don't understand something, let me know. But read them, please. So we got the perfect storm coming. The Treasury is going to raise a substantial amount of cash. Yes, they're going to raise the debt ceiling. That's not the problem. Bank reserves, which, believe it or not, have already dropped 23% this year due to our tightening, due to a few failures. Yeah, they still got 3.2 billion in the bank, trillion in the bank, but they're not going to participate in this newfound debt ceiling increase. Nuh-uh. They're going to be buying that debt. They're going to reduce their own liquidity. It's not just happening here. This is going on around the world. Yeah, a few major banks go out. Remember Credit Suisse? Remember that one? Yeah. We're not alone in this problem. The actual liquidity in the financial arena is as low as it's been for years. They don't have money, they can't lend. They can't lend, something doesn't grow. I'm starting to see a problem that might come out of this solution of the debt crisis. Let's face it, every time we solve something, we create another problem. So, in conclusion, and I'll take a little more look at my notes here. Markets and banks are increasingly fragile after the monetary tightening. Well, they should be. That's one of the reasons to do it. Bank reserves have fallen sharply. Global liquidity has plunged. Growth has slowed. Treasury's about to go grab that cash. Kind of an unfortunate time to do it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And that sucking sound you're hearing, it's going to get a little louder. We got to make sure the U.S. pays its bills. Somebody else got some problems out there, and that is the new, if I ever get this guy's name right, forgive me if I get it wrong, Bank of Japan, Ueda. He's sitting back and he's come in and, hey, GNP's better, that's good. But inflation, 3.4%, our target's 2%. Oh my God, we have inflation. Well, your reason for doing everything you've done was to cure deflation. Congratulations, you did it. Now comes the next question. Now what? You're the only dove out there. You're the only loose money out there. Unfortunately, it didn't juice up your economy as much as you want. And a few of the people that are forced to buy bonds at rates that are lower than they should be, they're getting a little perturbed. So what do you do next? You've got an even more difficult path to navigate than you did before. So politically, economically, you're finding yourself in a bit of a different boat. But let's face it, the way Japan runs its economy, it is a different boat. Well, finally caught up on a couple things. We are using bar chart. Please do. They've been great. We're learning it as we're learning everything else. But I told you I was going to get you a biotech, and it's Regeneron. Gave you a quick write-up. I like to buy stocks that have recently been taken out to the woodshed and hit. Getting closer on PayPal, but not so sure yet. But Regeneron's my pick. There's a few other ones that are out there. Well worth a look. I am interested in watching the Bollinger Bands. This is the tightest bands that I have seen in years. And when they move outside of tight bands, usually they go one direction for a while and then immediately in the other direction for a while. But there is a lot more movement as to what's happening with them than before. And yeah, I'm back to my third trade in the yen. I think the yen is going to increase in value against the dollar. I was barely right on the first trade. I was wrong on the second trade. I haven't seen anything change. My guess, the Bank of Japan is going to have to change its spots. And I'll be right. But I'm willing to take a bunch of small losses while I'm waiting. Let's see what happens. It's all in there. Take the time. Please read it. Let me know what you think. Have a good weekend and a better week. Thank you.